Okay, so today we will be going over how to create your documentation in WhereScape RED. So the entire time you're working in WhereScape RED, developing objects and building jobs to run, WhereScape is putting everything in metadata. Because it's in our metadata, you can quickly generate documentation based on that. So we also have a command line interface underneath, and you can script out this generation of the documentation if you need to do that nightly. So if we're going to create the documentation, we just need to come up to reporting and click create documentation. We have the ability to build it based on a group or based on a project layer. If you are doing a certain sprint or something like that and you need to document that, you can easily, or we can document everything in the data warehouse. So we can give it the location that we're going to be creating this at, and then we just kick it off and it starts running. So now it is documenting all of the objects in the data warehouse, the jobs, everything going on. So now we can just display that in a browser. And so it comes up. You can specify the location to be a shared drive somewhere so that you can put it on your intranet. I just happen to have it locally on my C drive. WhereScape has two different kinds of documentation. We have the user documentation, which includes all of the objects from a user perspective. So we can come in and look at a particular dimension, dim products, and it has all of the columns that are in there, and if it was related to a fact table, that would show up here as well. And we also include the glossary. So every single column in the data warehouse has an entry in the glossary, and you can take and put this into the metadata, into the documentation via a spreadsheet. So this is not typed in each single object, but you can do that. It also grabs information from your source system and pulls it along into the warehouse. So if you have comments in the source system, they will show up here. Now we can look at the technical documentation, and I can look at that same dimension, the dim products, and now we have things like the update script for dim products. This is a Python script, and you can see what it's doing to load this dimension. So we also have the columns where they come from, the source table, the source column. Is it a business key? Is it a slowly changing dimension field? And we also have any transformations are listed, as well as a trackback diagram that shows product into load table into the dimension. So now we also have the ability to look at other objects in the data warehouse if we want to look at the stage tables. Now these do not show up in the user information because these are intermediate tables. So we can look at the stage table and we can see where this came from. In this case, this is coming from a satellite. So a medium rate of change satellite, and there are no transformations. And here's the trackback diagram. The customers to load, to stage, to satellite, joining back together for this customers to build, ultimately build this dimension. So that's where it's coming from. If I come up to my dimensions, we can see this is the object that ends up after the stage table. So we also include that same glossary is listed here. Any scripts that you might have are here, as well as jobs to load the data warehouse. So I can look at this one. I can look, this is a bit more complicated with dependencies. So this has load tables, stage tables, and loading your hubs links. And then we have our dependencies. The stage table is dependent upon the load table, and there's even a dependency diagram to show everything. So that's what's in the documentation, everything that you need to understand your data warehouse. So thank you. If you are interested in more information, please go to wherescape.com/request the demo.